Hey, Jesse.
Hello. Happy Friday, Lindsay.
Happy Friday.
How are you?
Just fine. What are you drinking?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Bourbon.
Bourbon.
And Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
It goes good.
Diet, because it's January and we got to go on a diet. No, seriously. We just, we have to watch our blood sugar around these parts.
I guess that's what it is. I don't know. I mean, bourbon is a lot of sugar.
I know.
Bourbon.
Well, you want to balance it out.
I prefer to watch my blood alcohol content.
Only on the weekends, guys.
Only
We're
on
not
the
alcohol.
weekends.
We're not alcoholics.
No, we're not. So, hey, Lindsay, what are you drinking?
I'm having a peach White Claw. I've polished off a watermelon and a black cherry.
Bam Blam?
Mm-hmm. And then I've got some hot tea over there. I'm drinking immunity tea right now because
We have been on the funk.
yeah.
And you brought me a mango White Claw so I could
Yes.
join the claw with you. Rare.
Rare.
Clawage. I'll pop that in here in a little bit.
I think more of
Like eagle claw?
yeah, like eagle claw.
It's
like
the
a
claw.
screeching eagle.
I kind of like the old.
And then like the eagle's landing.
Yeah, I
It's
like
a fucking badass song. Led Zeppelin is the shit.
They are. So I just want to know what we're going to be drinking about.
Today we're drinking about Johnny Cash.
Yay, the Men in Black.
Mm-hmm. The man in black. The man of very few chords too, as far as his playing style goes.
But
it
was like a freight. What do they say in the movie?
Sharp like a razor, steady like a train.
Steady like a train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's true.
yes.
Boom, chicka, boom, boom, chicka, boom.
It
That
hits,
was his
it
sound.
hits
That's
hard.
his sound.
It hits hard into your DNA. Like
And
those rhythms
it's all
with
really
the
about the
tones.
lyrics with his because
It's
his
all
lyrics were
tones.
deep as shit.
Yeah. Perfect rockabilly. Like it crosses over into so many genres, really.
Right. Well, I'm gonna fire off because I'm gonna cover everything we're talking
I'm gonna
about.
let you fire off. I'm gonna take a sip. Cheers, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yes, and this is like I said in our Wednesday recap, just a little lighthearted before I get off into murder, abduction, murder, some incest in there. Yeah.
Gave me.
All right, I've got the next 2 months like lined up and organized.
I bet you're so excited to get some of these out.
I am. I really am.
Because you've been firing these things off. You've been doing such a great job at these.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I mean, it's been phenomenal. And I'm happy that you keep inviting me to come play with you.
Yes, we'll hit that intro.
We're best friends. And we
Best
get to play
friends.
together.
Let me
This
tell
is
you
our
about my
sandbox.
best friend.
This is our...
Sandbox conversations.
Yeah, so... but anyhow, here we go.
Adult sandbox.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cash, though?
Johnny Cash.
So what kind of dirt, really?
I'm
It's got to
gonna
be
get-
a lot
I'm
of
gonna
dirt.
get on
There's got to be
there.
a lot of drugs.
I'm gonna read off the script here.
It's got to be a lot of
About
dirt.
to go
dirt,
in
dirt.
there.
Dirt.
So much.
And you know the
I could
the
have a
day
whole
the
Johnny
music
Cash
died,
podcast.
like he was supposed to be on that plane too, right? The day the music died plane.
No, that
No.
was Waylon Jennings.
That was Waylon
Yep.
Jennings, but it's still part of the.
And he was joking around.
Still part of the
I don't know
Highwaymen,
if
right?
I think
Wasn't
it
he
was
part
with
of the
Buddy.
Highwaymen?
Yeah, Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they were buds.
Yeah.
They lived together for a while.
Okay.
But yeah, Waylon Jennings said to Buddy Holly, "I hope your plane crashes," and Buddy Holly said, "And I hope your bus crashes."
Your bus, or was it a car? It was. Yeah,
It was a bus.
Yeah, it was a bus.
It was a tour bus.
And they were both. They both said that jokingly.
And that haunts.
And it was all in a
that
coin
haunted
toss.
Waylon for a long time. Yep.
Yeah, and Richie Valens and all the.
Mhm.
It was the day the music died.
Yeah.
Bye, Miss American Pie.
Fuck.
Anyhow,
All right. So,
fire off, girl.
dear listeners, many of you know a lot of crazy debacles of Johnny Cash by either being a fan or watching the 2005 film Walk the Line. Now, me, I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. which led me to read every book that I could find on
She's
him.
more than huge, but yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I consider myself have been a single mom for 8 years, but I did date a couple of people here and there. But I was really completely single, 100% single for over a year. And other than taking care of my kids, I did a lot of reading, and I read every book that I could find on Johnny Cash. And one book was I Walked the Line by his first wife, Vivian Liberto Cash. Then I read Man in Black and Cash, which were written by him about him. Straight from his
Before
mouth
anybody
words.
could get in there and mess with it. Right.
Well, Man in Black was written, I think, in the 70s. And then Cash was written in the 90s when he was much older.
Right.
Late 90s. The insane things that this man did and lived through will make you believe he was really meant to be here as long as he was. His music was simple, yet amazing all at the same time, being described as the voice of truth, of wisdom, of thunder, of America, something ancient, ageless from the bowels of the earth. He was steady like a train, sharp like a razor.
Yes, he was.
A lot of people think that Johnny and June Carter's romance was incredible. But if you read I Walk the Line, you'll think otherwise. And I encourage everybody to read these books. I mean, just even if you're not a Johnny Cash fan, they're good reads. They're just very interesting. I Walk the Line, literally, she published every single letter that she kept for years and years and years.
Everybody looks for a love story at the same time, and they can use that.
Their love story was way more incredible to me because they wrote each other hundreds of letters and maintained a long distance relationship for years because they met in 1951 and 3 weeks before he was going to be deployed with the Air Force.
Right. Yeah.
And they wrote each other. She published all those letters in that book. The first half of the book is just letters between them two.
Their correspondence.
Yes, their correspondence. And then she picks up when he got honorably discharged,
right,
and they got married right away.
So Johnny didn't have like an Elvis type military career. He actually did shit in the military.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was 4 years in. Yeah.
He wasn't a celebrity when he was in the military.
No, and he was not drafted. I believe he joined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elvis was drafted, as far as I know.
Yeah, but I think he was like a drafted celebrity.
But he was already a celebrity. Johnny Cash was not a celebrity.
Exactly.
No,
That's
he
what
was
I'm
just
saying,
a poor boy from Dias, Arkansas.
Still around closer to the same era, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because they toured together. Right. I'm going to get into that.
Yeah.
As soon as he was discharged in 1954, they married right away and started a family. And they moved right to Memphis because he wanted to start his music career. And which took off from the help of Sam Phillips from Sun Records. We all know that story.
About Sun Records.
Yeah. Yes. His band members were him, Luther Perkins on guitar, and Marshall Grant on the upright bass, which I love so much.
And W.S. Hollow didn't come way on to
that's what I was going to say. Later on, he would have W.S. Holland on drums. So it was on the Tennessee 2, and then it became the Tennessee 3.
Yeah, because I know a little bit about this stuff. And, having that music inside of you, and especially if you go away and you're at war, and he started writing music over there too, like he was writing songs over there.
Now, one thing that pissed me off about myself, in his books, everybody that heard him play music while he was over there and in the military, they all told him that he sounded like Hank Snow. I don't know who the fuck Hank Snow is, and I've never heard his voice, and I don't know why I haven't, because I'm a deep diver, and I should have already.
Know who Hank Snow is.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, that was.
But that was the popular name. That the name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
but
it was. Well, Hank Snow was around the same time as Hank Sr. Also, so yeah.
And the Bobby
probably
Holmes
got He probably got lowered down a little bit because Hank Sr. surpassed his career and he wasn't as known, but his voice was compared to that of Hank Snow. And I cannot tell you because I haven't listened, and I'm very disappointed in myself for not. So they wanted to play gospel music, but Sam encouraged them to play the rockabilly sound. And his first record with Hey Porter and Cry 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 sold 100,000 copies.
And it wasn't until he broke away from the gospel music.
When he went from, but Sam was like, fuck that. Everybody's playing this shit. It's tired. It's old.
It's tired.
Sick of it.
Yeah.
But he still had that gospel, good old time religion background. So
Kind of had to
when
twist
he
his
left,
arm into it, right? Like,
well, no, when he left Sam and went to CBS Records, that's when he played gospel music. He never did it under Sam.
Oh.
Yeah, never did it under Sam.
But Sam twisted his arms out of gospel music
Yes.
into the rockabilly
Because he was like, I
style.
can't make you nothing with this sound.
Right. Everybody
Yeah.
sounds the same. And that's what I hate about like poor
Cookie cutter.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about
And if Sam
just here
hadn't have done
I was
that-
talking about a country music band that they had a rockin' kind of country sound that was more original. And they got in the studio, they made them sound like all the rest of the bands.
But if Sam hadn't have pushed him in that, he wouldn't have been who he was.
Right.
At
And
all.
that's a good thing.
So that's
a
I
good
mean,
thing. You know?
if you want to sing gospel music, do your thing. But Sam was like, everybody's doing this shit, bro. Let's do something different.
Exactly.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, and unlike the movie, because the movie shows him singing, the Folsom Prison Blues, but that's not what was on his first record. It was Hey Porter and Cry, Cry, Cry. And I love both of those songs.
Yeah.
Hey Porter, Hey Porter. Okay.
And I remember watching your kids do that on YouTube.
Yeah, they sang Get Rhythm. Yes,
Rhythm.
if you want to see my now grown
They
children
were babies.
sing at their school talent show, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was a dumbass and was clapping while I'm videoing, so it's very shaky. But they
No, you were a proud mom.
I was such
Lindsay,
a proud mom. I
come
was
on.
I They were so cute.
They
I
were
spent
cute.
$115 that day.
You got them done
At
up in suits.
JCPenney's to
Yeah.
get them all black outfits
Cute
with black
AF.
shoes. They were so cute. And but yes, on YouTube, it's Pope Boys sing Johnny Cash, and they're singing Get Rhythm at their school talent show.
So cute.
My
Adores.
youngest watches
Silas
it
watches
all
it.
the
Yeah.
time.
He's like,
he loves
look at my
it.
brothers. I wish
Yes.
that was on the stage with them. I'm like,
God, Landon
you didn't
was
even
like
know them yet. Like,
Landon was like a
wasn't even
foot
born
tall.
yet.
I swear he was so
small.
tiny.
He was a little.
But they were all in elementary school, and now they're all grown.
Yeah,
it was
whole
such a long time ago.
Full-grown Chewbacca's now.
I know, making babies and stuff.
Oh God, we just had another baby.
Yeah,
Grandbaby number 4. for
grandbaby
us.
number 4, Catherine Louisanne.
Yay!
All the 3 names.
And she's so small.
She's so tiny.
Whittle.
6 pounds, 12 ounces. Tiny little thing. It's the tiniest baby I've ever held in my life.
Happy grandparents.
After he sold 100,000 copies, this led to tours with other successful musicians such as Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and Elvis Presley. Now, Carl Perkins was the original singer of Blue Suede Shoes. Not a lot of people know that.
Oh,
yeah.
So Elvis bit off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis bit off a lot of things.
I don't think that there was any hard feelings with that.
No.
But he was the original singer. That was his song.
Well, I mean, Elvis was listening to a lot of African American and soul music. Like that's where he got a lot of his feelings from.
Yep.
You know, and that's awesome.
Do you know?
That's good stuff, though.
Like, I've never been a really big Elvis fan. I like literally everybody else that he toured with over him. But that Elvis movie that they made was really spot on as far as the trap that he was in.
Yeah,
he was
it
literally
portrayed him being
caught
really
in a trap.
stuck into that.
Yes,
and that's why he made the song
with that fucker manager that basically killed him.
Yeah, made him just stay in Vegas.
But we're on
he
Johnny
couldn't
tonight,
travel
so yeah,
globally.
we'll talk about Elvis another day.
Yeah.
So touring meant long nights driving, performing night after night, and not a lot of energy to do it. So that's when Johnny was introduced to pills. Amphetamines, dexedrine, benzedrine, which they called bennies, and Dexamol.
All the ups.
These were what truck drivers would take to stay awake and what women would use as diet pills.
Basically
And-
like a methamphetamine type thing.
And I'm going to say this right now. I've been, battling with weight issues my entire life. And I went on an amphetamine prescribed regimen for a while. And I took one. And if I took more than one, according to my weight loss consultant, I would end up in the hospital. And when I go on to tell you how many pills this man took, so like I said, I was prescribed one. So just remember that.
Bet that was going ham.
His first time was in 1957 when he was told he could go from Miami to Jacksonville and still want to have a good time. In his own words, Johnny says, they came in all colors. If you didn't like green, you could get orange. If you didn't like orange, you could get red. And if you were feeling really weird, you could get the black ones. And the black ones would have you driving all the way to California in a 53 Cadillac with no sleep. And I'm guessing he's talking about from Florida to fucking California.
So they're just riding shows, just non-sleep, just non-stop, just.
And at first he would take the pills to get rid of the pre-performance butterflies. Or instead, he would have courage and confidence. His energy was multiplied and timing was superb. You could get this courage in a bottle of 100 for about $8 to $10.
Wow.
After some time, the habit became a need. These pills would make him rage, pace the floor, or drive recklessly. With a combination of the pills, alcohol, and cigarettes, laryngitis became an issue, and he would do quite a few shows barely whispering.
Well, like most of it was bad sleep.
Because he already had a baritone voice.
Yeah, any singers will say, like, the thing that kills your voice the most is not having good sleep.
Yep. Oh, yeah, because when I'm tired, my voice is raspy. Like, I already have a raspy voice, so when I'm tired, it's like, it just fucking...
It really crushes.
I remember when I was a teenager and we would be up and we would be up late. And when that voice would start to turn into frog sounds, I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta sleep.
What was that chick where she's singing this song and then she's like, bruh, in the middle of it? Well, she's just, ooh, bruh.
I don't know.
I forgot what song it was. It was like out of nowhere too. It was like a bruh. Really low, and then she goes back. I can't remember it now. Anyhow, go ahead. Sorry, Lindsay.
I wish I knew what you were talking about.
What was she singing? She was singing Pretty as Hell, and then all of a sudden she's like, bruh, out of nowhere.
Was she doing like exercises or something?
No, it was on like TikTok or something. She was singing
we'll have to find that later.
Blah. It was so funny.
Now,
I don't remember it. Go ahead.
At home, Vivian and his 4 girls, Roseanne, Kathy, Cindy, and Tara, had become frightened of him, and things were very tumultuous. Now, in the movie, Vivian is portrayed as a fucking Karen-ass bitch, but this was not the truth. Now, I don't want to really talk bad about the movie because his son was the main person behind it, John Carter Cash, which was him and June's only child together. But she was not a bad person whatsoever.
So put it this way, okay, you're from the military, you come back and you want to pursue what's in your heart. You want to play
And this
music.
woman only dated him for 3 weeks in person and had a 4-year relationship with him, long distance, married him right away, then supported his fucking career.
He got back,
while he tried to become a door-to-door fucking carpet salesman.
Right.
And then went to work at a factory. Like, she said that their landlord, like, if it hadn't have been for him, she don't know how they would have made it through the first fucking 3 years of their life together. Homeless. Yeah. Because he would give loans, extensions, things like that, you know?
Yeah, because it takes, for music stardom, and even if you have a good product, you know, it takes a while.
Now, they did move right to Memphis because that was like in their plans, in their letters.
You got to move where it's hot.
Right where it was.
Where it's hot. And so she supported him all the way up to his fame. So that's a good thing for her, but at the same time, it's going to always have problems. It's going to always cause problems. Anybody that's hitting the road nowadays, you can get away with it because
he was a fucking asshole. He was an asshole.
He had to have been.
He
was selfish enough to the point where he got his art out.
He was selfish, high, cheating ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like he was a piece of shit.
Yeah. For sure.
And she had been very supportive of his career and went on tours with him as much as possible.
So kudos to her, though.
She was an amazing woman. Like I said, y'all, read I Walked the Line by Vivian Liberto Cash. 100% read that book. It'll change your mind about everything. Again, I said she had been very supportive of his career, went on tours with him as much as possible until his other life took over, and then Vivian would stay at home with the girls. Johnny would be extremely destructive while on the pills, destroying furniture at home, rooms in hotels, sometimes entire floors. I remember one excerpt from his book where Merle Haggard had actually told him, he was like, I ain't got shit to say to you, bro. This was on a plane. Because you tore up an entire wing of a hotel that I was supposed to stay at on tour, and we had to go out and find another fucking room that was not booked because of your ass.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And Merle Haggard he had his own demons too.
Hag was something.
So for Merle Haggard to say that.
Yeah. Hag was something else. And that's one of my favorite country music artists. And He has a little rockabilly in him too.
Yeah, you're like Merle Haggard, like I am about Johnny. Like,
yeah,
but you haven't
Hag.
went into
ain't
read
me and my dad's personal thing with Hag. You know,
I'm so glad you got
twice.
to take him. Yes,
and we got to see his tour bus, and his kids played a lot that last show, and like he was really late to that last show that we seen Hag at, and his kids played like 45 minutes before Merle even showed up.
Damn.
Yeah, and he showed up. I mean, he played a good 15 songs after that.
And he passed away shortly after that.
Shortly after that, yeah.
I know. I remember you saying, I don't ever want to go see Willie Nelson because he's going to die right after I see him.
Yeah, he's the
because
last
we've
one.
actually had that happen to us quite a few times.
He's the last one out of that era that's alive. To me, that
Jerry Lee Lewis is... No, he died too, didn't he?
Yeah, everybody's gone.
No, I think Jerry Lee Lewis might still be alive.
He ain't playing. Come on. If he's still alive.
He is. He's doing locally.
Really?
I actually was talking to a man when we
better look that shit up because I want to know this because I thought he had.
No, he did.
Yeah,
he just died in 2022.
Yeah,
I knew he was alive before we made our trip.
Everybody's gone.
When we made our trip to Tennessee to go to Johnny Cash's grave to Hendersonville, this man that I was waiting on was like, well, you might as well go on down the road and go see Jerry Lee Lewis's house. He lived right next to Johnny. Right. And we didn't do that.
Well, while we
had a lot to do though.
We did go up by where his house was, but you couldn't even tell.
But Johnny's had burned down a long time ago. But
well, I didn't know that. I mean,
I knew that. I told you that.
Well, while we were going up, I was just like, "Oh, okay." But we drove by.
No, I told you before we left.
Was it?
Because I knew that. I had known that for a couple of years before we even met.
Okay.
Yeah. Because me and the boys...
we got to see his grave, and then we went to the museum in Nashville.
Because before you and I met, it was actually my plan to take the boys on that trip.
Right.
But I was single momming, and money was tight.
I enjoyed the trip.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
Nashville. Nashville's becoming a little bit more rock and roll now, you know?
But yeah, we got to do the whole Johnny Cash Museum. We got to see the Ryman. That was fucking awesome.
Tell them about the gift that I got you.
Oh, yeah. So Valentine's Day, in our first year of our relationship, Jesse comes home with a guitar with a signed pick guard signed by Johnny and June.
So
that was fucking amazing.
I bought the pick guard. It was like johnnycash.com, memorabilia.com. Mm-hmm. And it was half off because there was a little hairline scratch through one of the autographs. And I was like,
you can't see it at all.
You can barely see it.
I'll post a picture of it in our stories.
You know, I couldn't help it though. I was just like, I'm going to buy the guitar that goes with this, which was a Telecaster.
And then we have
a yellow Telecaster pick guard. Is what it was. And I'm sure he probably sat there and they probably both sat there and signed 100 of them. You know, I was just like,
and then the drum head with W.S. Holland. Yep. I've got a whole little Johnny Cash corner. I'll post a picture of in our stories. It's really cool.
But she didn't. Lindsay didn't tell me until years later. She's like, I really thought you were going to propose to me that day
because he was building it up so high.
Oh, I couldn't help it. It was amazing stuff, though. This was Johnny and Johnny Cash was really she had talked.
But I really had no idea that was what was on his heart to get me, which was adorable, absolutely fucking phenomenal. And it's 13 years later. Almost 13 years later.
And it was like 9 years later when you told me that you were like,
I just told you that like last year.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah.
Right before we got married.
Yeah. You were like, I thought you were going to propose to me that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, would you have said yes?
He didn't propose to me till 9 years later, y'all.
She said, yeah, I would have said yes then.
Yeah. Sure would have.
That was really cool.
Okay. So where was I at? All right. So he was destroying furniture at home, rooms in hotels, sometimes entire floors, cars, and so much more. His habit increased. Are you ready? To about 100 pills a day.
A day, Lindsay?
A day.
How do you live?
What I tell you?
There's only one way you can fucking live. There's only one way.
He would take half amphetamines and half barbiturates every day.
Up and down.
Up and down.
That's more than a roller coaster. That's
I don't kamikaze. And he lived through that, but it wasn't a nice life. Lindsay. It wasn't a nice life. So in 1965,
how did you not kill yourself, your family?
How did he not die? How did he not die? Like I said, on my one pill, I would be raging, and that's why I had to stop taking them. I was a monster on one fucking pill.
He couldn't.
I no longer trusted my own self, and after one pill, and because I would just get so angry, especially the come down on those.
He had to be spinning around and popping one of them every 15 minutes.
Those of y'all that have to take ADHD medication and Adderall and shit. That it's like the come down off of that.
So he's drinking them while with alcohol,
right?
With this,
or anybody or any of you ladies that have been on Adipex or men, You know what I'm talking about.
That's stumbling
this dude
from
was
room to
taking
room and
50 of those a day and
time.
then 50 downers.
Probably never sat down. Just kept
Now,
on
that's his own words, and that might be exaggerated, but I don't think that it was because, oh, God. Like I said, he would tear up entire floors of hotels. Floors. Because I'm sure his, all his band had to have different rooms.
Well, in the 50s, like hotels were somewhat smaller, but
fancier. They took more pride in them.
Yeah.
They took way more pride in them.
He was staying in like 1800s, early 1900s, built probably hotels,
or brand new ones that had just been built that year.
And just fucking them up. Just what a mess.
I know. Now, in 1965, appearing as a special guest at the Opry, and this part is in the movie, but it ends a little different than what they put in there.
Yeah.
His voice was gone, and he was down to about 165 pounds, which is thin for a man. When the band kicked off, he couldn't get the timing right, which caused him to go into an absolute fucking rage. He took the mic stand, threw it down, and dragged it all along the edge of the stage, popping about 50 or 60 footlights. And this, of course, got him kicked right off the Opry.
And guess who wrote a song about it? Merle Haggard.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
I was about to say Merle. Yeah.
Yeah. You looked at me. You're like,
is it Merle?
Yeah. That was the little silence between there. She looked over and she's like, and I'm like, yeah, the Hag.
Merle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he drove away. So in the movie, it shows him like passing out and he has to go to the hospital right away. That's not what happened. So he actually drove away and he was crying really bad. He was fucking pissed off at himself, crying, raging.
That's the Super Bowl of their music at that time.
You
play at the Opry?
And you get kicked off the fucking Opry. And he was a special guest. Like he had already been a regular for years. It's at 65.
Yeah.
So, because he started in 55 singing. That's when his career took off.
To get kicked out of the Ryman, you had to be huge enough.
You know what just fucking came to my fucking head? My parents were born the year that man, his career took off. And they're 70 now. So that's such a long time ago.
Right.
This is crazy. Okay, so he was crying and it was raining. And plus he was under the influence and he swerved and crashed into a tree, breaking his nose and jaw.
Wow.
Yes. Later on, Johnny met Charlie Pride, who was a black country singer on his way to success. They hung out, sang some songs together, and Charlie mentioned that he would love to be on the Grand Ole Opry, but he really didn't think that he was going to be a pilot because of the color of his skin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess he hadn't heard about Johnny's recent banning. And being drunk and on pills, Johnny lied right to his face and said, "Hey, I'll get you on the Opry." Charlie was so excited, and Johnny made his promise over and over during their encounter. And later on, Charlie confronted him about that shit and was like, "You embarrassed me with that, bro." But he did make it to the Opry.
I was fixing to say,
good for Charlie.
I've seen Charlie up there on stage.
So Charlie did it without Johnny Cash.
Yeah, rightfully so. And he really was a forefront person for a lot of different people, not just African Americans. Like Charlie was a revolutionary for that music, and his style was really good.
Absolutely,
it's really good,
really
stuff.
good, really
Love
good
Charlie
stuff.
Pride.
So Johnny would go on to crash many cars, and I mean, actually, every single one that he owned, every single one, and it was always under the influence.
Complete.
There's a biopic.
Destruction of methamphetamines.
Yes. So he crashed Elvis's car, one of June's cars, maybe two. I don't remember. One of the most famous crashes was that of Old Jesse.
Old Jesse?
Old Jesse. So that's what he called his camper truck.
Oh, you know, one time I did get to sit in an Elvis Presley's car.
Really?
Yeah, Cadillac. This guy had an old one, and he's like, "Go on, get in that car, man. It's really cool, man. Check this car out. It's got a lot of history behind it." I got in it, and he's like, "Look down at that title." He had the title in the other seat, and it was signed by Elvis Presley. That was crazy.
I mean, like I said,
it wasn't in a museum, nothing. Dude just had, but anyhow, that was just,
But there is a movie that's out right now. We're gonna have to watch it when it comes on TV. But it's about Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash were buds.
Yeah.
And there's an actor that is playing the part of Johnny Cash in their friendship, and I'm so excited to see it because, me and the boys were at Sam's when they were younger, and Dalton came running up to me, my oldest. He's like, "Mom, look what I found." And it was a Johnny Cash Essentials CD. And it had all different like collabs that he'd done with so many different people. And one was with him and Bob Dylan. And I love that fucking song.
Bob Dylan wrote a lot of songs.
Yes. Bob Dylan wrote so many songs.
So Jesse was his camper van.
Camper truck. All right. So this crash, and actually I'm not 100% sure if it, okay. So the story that Johnny told was that he took the camper out with his nephew. They started a fire to keep warm, but there is pictures of this crashed truck and the exhaust
caught the grass.
Started a fire.
Oh.
Now, on this particular crash, he started a forest fire in Los Padres National Forest. It was, like I said, a blaze from the blaze from a faulty exhaust system tore through 500 acres and drove out many of the majestic California condors that were in refuge, which is basically a buzzard.
Yeah.
But they were in refuge.
Anybody else, though? I mean, was nobody hurt?
Hold on.
Oh, keep on cracking.
Nobody else was hurt. But he was arrested for this, and he was the first person in history to be sued by the government, and the government won.
The federal government sued him?
Sued him because it's national forest.
So this far up into his career, he's just been destructive.
Destructive as fuck. An asshole, cheating piece of shit to his wife.
Right.
Not a great dad to his daughters. You know, just
completely selfish.
Completely selfish. Yeah. And he's also trying to pursue pretty much a relationship with June Carter while fucking other bitches all at the same time. So
she's already came into the picture.
She's already came into the picture.
Well, of course, the Grand Ole Opry.
But she was married too to other people, a couple of other guys through their, because she joined their caravan, their touring group, everything. She sang with him a lot.
Yeah. Touring on.
So, in his deposition, this is how it went. The deposer, I guess is what you would call it. Did you start the fire, Johnny? No, my truck did, and it's dead, so you can't question it. The deposer, do you feel bad about it? Johnny said, well, I feel good right about now. The deposer, how do you feel about driving all of those condors out of refuge? Johnny, you mean those big yellow buzzards? Yes, Mr. Cash, those yellow buzzards. Johnny, I don't give a damn about your yellow buzzards. Why should I care?
Could you imagine how this would look like on TV now? Like if we were,
he's probably twitching, tweaking,
geeking,
geeking out,
jerking, biting,
wanting to punch somebody in the face.
If that was to happen now, like imagine us having the technology that we have now back then, and that being on YouTube or like the Amber Heard,
it would be everywhere.
And Johnny Depp
would be on every social media platform.
We're watching him jerk and twerk like.
Oh my god!
He's probably like leaning over, popping a pill at least every 15 minutes. He had to have been while he was there. Like, goodness gracious.
So in the end, he was actually fined $125,000, which is like well over $1 million in today's money.
Yeah.
But he would still go on to turn over 2 tractors, a bulldozer. He sank 2 boats and even jumped from a moving truck right before it went over a 600-foot cliff in California.
So he was just everywhere, just devastating.
Hell.
He's a rock star, man.
Now,
it's not cool, but it's kind of.
I'm actually glad our rock stars now are a little more on the sober side and drinking hot tea and
they're
shit.
way different.
Yeah.
They're way different. You know, imagine Motley Crue, like the shit that they've done. But they did not do
disgusting.
But they didn't do it like Cash did.
No.
Fucking that much.
But the girls, though. Literally the girls. That's just nasty as fuck. Yeah. Everywhere.
Everybody got
in front of everybody. Youngins. Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing you can say about Johnny Cash. He didn't fuck with no little girls.
Yeah.
And, there ain't no shit like that out there about him. But he fucked with some pills.
This bourbon is good.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good little mix. Rattle, rattle. Rattle, rattle.
He was arrested a total of 7 times, which he calls 7 one-night stands. He was arrested for trespassing in Starksville, Mississippi. And he was picking flowers on a private property. He's just picking flowers.
He's trying to get it in.
He wrote a song about this.
I should have bought you flowers.
So, drug smuggling. This is one of his most famous ones when he had the amphetamines in his guitar going from Mexico to El Paso. Reckless driving and drug possession. So he was arrested a total of seven times for all of those. He wasn't the outlaw that most people think that he was, but he did have 7 one-night stands in jail.
In jail?
That's what he called 7 one-night stands.
Oh,
7 one-nighters in jail.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was like,
he never did more than one night.
Did he have like one night? Did he have chicks coming over in jail?
No.
Like different chicks?
No.
Like that beats Motley Crue right there too.
Stays in jail.
Stays.
Yeah.
Okay.
He never did more than one night.
Well, you're like one night stands. I'm like,
no,
he's in jail. Is there 7 different chicks that came over that night and banged him? Like
no, no. I told you he wasn't nasty like that, and he was nasty, but not like that.
Okay. I'm.
He wasn't Motley Crue nasty. I know.
I know. I keep bringing up Motley Crue. Johnny Cash has nothing.
They had
to do with each other.
No, that was 20 years, 30 years later.
30 years later, but still, like he was really paving the way for that rock star mentality. Like
Motley Crue took it to a whole different level, man.
Yeah.
So in 1966, Vivian had enough of his drug habit, infidelity, and reckless behavior. She pretty much had to babysit him while at home because he would have hallucinations constantly and would talk to people that were not there all the time. She talks about him in her book. He talks about him in his book. Like that was real. That's 100% verified.
Hello?
So, and she would have to stay awake until he would fall asleep to make sure that lit cigarettes would not fall out of his mouth and burn their fucking house down.
Yeah.
Because his other guitarist, Luther, actually died from that. Luther fell asleep
really
with a cigarette in his mouth and burned his whole fucking house down and died with it. That's when he ended up getting Carl Perkins as a guitarist later on.
Okay.
Like I said,
them boys is going hard, and they didn't have to though.
No,
they could have eased up the schedule. It didn't have to be that strenuous. Why?
But you know how it is when people get famous, they're pop. I mean, I even see it with fucking with TikTokers that do fucking makeup. They've got such a tight schedule, and then they'll make a fucking video and be like, "My mental health sucks. I have to slow down. I can't do this right now. I'm in a bad spot. I'm in a bad place. I'm sorry. I love y'all. I got to take a break." Yeah.
If you
and
take
that's still going on now.
If you take your fame in strides, you can prolong a career way longer and do it healthier. And that's what people are doing now, for sure, on the road and everything. Like you said,
if you go out there and get famous,
now,
make your own fucking terms.
Yeah,
literally, just
slow
make
that
your
shit
own
down
terms.
a little bit. Do it strategically.
You
don't have to hit every
sacrifice
town
your family and mental health for any of that.
No, slow it down a little bit.
It's not worth it.
We'll hit your mango White Claw over here one time.
So like I said, Vivian was done living like this and she divorced him. Mm-hmm. So then he and June Carter.
She hung out that long.
Oh, so they married in 54. They met in 51. They married in 54. And this was 1966.
Wow.
Yeah. So she hung out for a long time. So then he and June would go on to be together. And her family would actually dedicate a lot of time on getting him clean. And they stayed in his house with him and kept anyone shady away. There's an excerpt from his book, Man in Black, to describe his detox.
And I'm going to remember that from the movie, him being posted up in the house trying to.
Well, I'm going to read in his words how he describes the detox because it's insane.
To be hell.
It was the same nightmare every night as it affected my stomach. I'm reading Johnny Cash's words. I suppose because the stomach was where the pills had landed, exploded, and done their work. I'd be lying in bed on my back, curled up on my side. The cramps would come and go, and I'd roll over, doze off, and go to sleep. Then all of a sudden, a glass ball would begin to expand in my stomach. My eyes were closed, but I could see it. It would grow to the size of a baseball, a volleyball, then a basketball. And about the time I felt the ball was twice the size of a basketball, it lifted me up off the bed. So he would literally feel like he was levitating from detoxing.
Right.
It was a strange state of half asleep and half awake. I couldn't open my eyes and I couldn't close them. It lifted me up off the bed to the ceiling and then it would go through the roof. The glass ball would explode and tiny slivers of glass would go out into my bloodstream from my stomach. I could feel the pieces of glass being pumped through my heart into the veins of my arms, legs, my feet, my neck, and my brain. And some would come out of the pores of my skin.
So those are just him describing the DTs of everything. Yeah.
Then I would float back down through the ceiling onto my bed and wake up. I'd turn over on my side for a while, unable to sleep. And then I would lie on my back, doze off, almost get asleep. And then the nightmare would come again.
It'd come again. Yeah.
So this would be an ongoing fight with him with sobriety, and he would have many relapses. This story just blew my mind. So Vivian says in her book that when Johnny and June had been seeing each other in secret, and Vivian would turn a blind eye, He actually came home after a drunken night with a couple of friends and said, I wrote this song called Ring of Fire, but I'm going to give the writing credits to June. So when Vivian asked why, he said, well, June needs the money and I feel sorry for her. So, of course, I mean, he would just throw June in Vivian's face so much. Like it was a thing. It was
still holding.
It was so disrespectful.
Animosity.
He was very disrespectful to Vivian.
Wow.
But the truth was, Johnny wrote Ring of Fire, not June. And he wrote it drunk as shit. And it was actually about a woman's vagina.
I heard that. And they were saying
I told you that.
They were
years
saying,
ago.
yeah. And they were saying that it was actually about the whole burning with
venereal disease.
They were saying it was like the burning with the truck thing at first, is what I heard originally.
Well, what Vivian says in her book was he was singing literally about a burning ring of fire. Right. So that means a woman with a diseased
twat disease.
Vagina.
Yes. Twatty. Old burning twat.
So later. So anyway, so June she got the royalties from that. And then I also read that he put that in June's name. That way Vivian couldn't get the royalty rights off of that. Because when they divorced, she got half the royalties off of everything he wrote. So she was
from
set
then
for
on.
life. Yeah.
So he was giving June the credit.
But I'm like,
full on.
Why would he just do that with one song? But no, that was before they got divorced. So he gave June the credit so she would get money from that to help her because she was struggling in her singing career. She was more of a comedian. I watched so many videos. She was very funny. But I just don't think that.
And who was it? Reese.
This is my humble opinion.
Reese
I don't think that
she portrayed it really well. Was it Reese Witherspoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Reese can sing. Yeah. I don't think that June's voice was great.
No. At all. And I remember hearing June on TV and singing and stuff. It wasn't that great. And she would just be like,
her sister Bonita, like she says in the movie, literally had the pipes. Yeah. Bonita, she literally had the pipes. But June's was more of just, your average just voice. There was nothing special about it. But Johnny loved her.
Which was perfect for country music, but at the same time, it didn't stand out. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And without Johnny, she probably wouldn't have gotten her with like
as far Porter Wagner and stuff and stuff, even on the Grand Ole Opry.
But she was more of a comedian. Yeah. And she was part of the Carter family, so she had a rite of passage, like right away. Like I said, later on, Johnny and June, after they got married and had John Carter Cash, he still battled with relapses, and he called the pills the deception. In 1981, he had been given some painkillers after an eye surgery and then kept taking them when he really didn't need to. And it escalated after he was almost killed by an ostrich.
An ostrich?
Yeah, so let me push through this story here. So he had made an exotic animal park near the House of Cash, which was like their main headquarters, their office, recording studio, and later on it went on to be a museum.
Okay.
That winter was really, really cold. This was 81. And they had lost the hen of the pair because she wouldn't let them capture her and be taken into the barn. So she froze to death. So this pissed her mate right off. And I don't know if y'all know this, but ostriches can be aggressive as fuck. And they are deadly.
Fucking bird.
So before this, he had never given Johnny any problems. But that day when Johnny approached him, he crouched down, spreading his wings, and was hissing at him. So Johnny went to get a stick and shoo him off because I guess he was like blocking Johnny from going to the other animals and checking on them. And the ostrich came at him and Johnny tried to swing the stick at him. And before Johnny knew it, the big ass bird flew in the air and came down on him, splitting open his stomach with his claw. And if Johnny hadn't been wearing a big old belt with a big solid buckle, it would have been fatal. Like it would have.
So this is like one of the 1900 times that he should have died.
Should have died.
This is another.
So
what the hell?
And then Johnny also fell.
In 81 though, he had to
back.
be like almost 60 then, right?
No.
How old was he then?
Oh God, hold on.
81.
I'm not sure, but he was up there because he died in 2003, and he was
getting up there.
I think he was 71 when he died in 2003. Oh, okay. So yeah, that would make him about a little over 50. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I mean, he shouldn't have made it to like 40.
He shouldn't have made it, right.
Jesus.
So he also fell from being hurt. He fell on his back, and that made him break a total of 5 ribs.
on top of the guts hanging split. Out. Yes. The ostrich standing over top of him like, I'm a kitty again. Like so the ostriches they got some big ass claws on their feet.
The claws are deadly.
And they'll kick the shit aggressive. Out of you. That's what they do.
Especially when they're mate, because I guess they're one of those that like, they're very mating,
oriented, like they got to, yeah.
So he went to the hospital and got stitched up, but he had a lot of healing to do. So he was back on painkillers, and he was going around to different doctors
here we go again.
To keep him coming. Yes. So this habit continued on to 1983, and the hallucinations were back. In Nottingham on tour, he was bitten by a poisonous spider, which ended up needing a surgery.
Not in Nottingham.
So on the way to the surgery.
Did you just say Nottingham for real?
Nottingham.
It's inclined to believe.
We love that. We love Nottingham.
Nottingham.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. The Disney
all the
version.
The Disney version. We like the Kevin Costner
every
too.
Robin Hood they've ever done.
I actually only like the Kevin Costner version of Nottingham or of Robin Hood. Because of the soundtrack. Bryan Adams, man, that song is a legacy.
Yeah, it is.
But anyways, I'm not going to break out into song right now. We got to feed our child, so we're going to get through this. So on the way to the surgery, he was like, I don't think they're going to give me enough medication, so I'm going to take a shit ton of pills with me. And this included Percodans, amphetamines, and Valium. So when he was in the hospital, he also had to have some intestines and parts of his stomach and spleen removed because of internal bleeding from the poison.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. And it does say that in the book, but it doesn't specify what it's from.
Well, they just got gashed the hell open. They're going to have to splice. Well,
this was 2 years later after that.
Oh.
He got bit by a poisonous spider.
In Nottingham.
And then in Nottingham.
The naughty spider.
Yes. So, he decided to hide all his Valium.
Not poor Cash. I mean, Cash, but yes.
Fucking hell. So he decided to hide all of his Valium under his bandages. And 2 days later, they couldn't get him up. So the Valium had dissolved, all of the Valium that he had. He called it like a card. I don't know what the fuck that means, but it was a lot. They dissolved into his room, and they were also giving him a morphine drip in his IV. And
on top of all the other shit seeping.
So here comes one of his most vivid hallucinations ever. So he hallucinated that an entire fight crew detached the wing of the hospital that he was in and took flight over Nashville.
A flight crew.
Yeah, over the Cumberland River and more to the countryside. He was having full-on conversations with the whole flight crew and fearing that the commandos were coming.
That is a pretty river. We've seen the Cumberland River together.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So even hallucinating that commandos were going to kill his entire family. And one had a gun to John Carter's head. But there's a reason why that I'm going to go back to. But then after this, that hallucination, his entire family got him into the Betty Ford Clinic.
You need to put him in a padded room. Let him figure this shit out.
Now, this is why he hallucinated this. Previous, on Christmas Day in 1982, he had some trauma happen to him and his family. Now, he and June had an estate in Jamaica called Cinnamon Hill. And on Christmas Day, he and about 20 friends and family were just about to sit down to dinner. Now, the doors weren't locked, and they didn't have security at this point. 3 armed robbers came bursting through the doors. One had a knife, and one had a hatchet, and one had a gun.
Fuck.
Their first words were, "Somebody's going to die here tonight." And they all got on the floor, and June tried to hide her ring. The one with the gun said, "We want $1 million or somebody's going to die." Johnny remained calm. The rest of his group did not. But Johnny remained calm and looked up at the gunman and said, "You know that your government would not allow us to bring $1 million into this country, even if we had it, which we don't. But if you don't hurt us, you can have everything you've got." And the gunman said, "Well, you've got money." And Johnny said, "Yes, we do, but not $1 million." They had several thousand and June's jewelry in a briefcase under their bed. So the rest of the group, like I said, was not doing okay because they had people ranging all over the place in ages. There were some old ladies with them, and one old lady was screaming that she was going to have a heart attack. Like she's verbally saying, I'm not doing good here. And
this is crazy.
I know.
This is like 455,000 times that he should.
This will be the last story that I talk about, but I encourage y'all to read these books. Your mind will be fucking blown.
Shit that went on.
Like I said, I could have a whole Johnny Cash podcast. Yeah. I think his son actually does have one, so maybe he talks about some of his debacles. But
there's some shit right there already. Whoa.
So then June started losing it also, and she said that she was having chest pains. And they all started removing their watches and jewelry. The gunman said, "Everybody do as I say or John Carter is going to die." And they'd put a gun to John Carter's head.
Wow.
And he was only 11 years old.
Wow.
That's Silas's age. That's our baby's age. Yeah.
Down there in their little Jamaica hovel and living it up.
Nice place. Yeah. John could recognize addiction in these men and figured that they were junkies. They spent 2 hours going through the house, all while holding a gun to John Carter's head. And the hatchet-wielding assailant cut a clump of June's hair off. John begged them, please take the gun away from John Carter's head, while telling them where all of the valuables were. The gunman even asked John Carter questions like, "What do you do down here? What do you like about Jamaica? Do you snorkel?" And John Carter would actually answer him calmly. And the gunman even said, "This is a real gun I've got against your head, you know." And John said, "Yes, I know. I go hunting with my dad, and I know about guns." So the gunman said, "Do you want to fill my gun?" John Carter said, "No, sir. I don't play with guns. I've got a lot of respect for them. They are dangerous." And the gunman said, "I like you, man." And John Carter says, "Thank you, sir." And they got their loot and took everyone to the basement. Then they came back and said, "Well, we want you people to have your Christmas dinner after all. We don't want to take that away from you," and slipped a plate of turkey under the door. And John Carter just started eating right away. He was a hungry little boy. That's something Silas would do. No shit. Like,
he would have went through 100%. All that shit. Like, normal kids would have been traumatized. I don't think our kid would have been really that fucked up.
He would have ate that turkey. He would have been hungry. He's been waiting 2 hours while these fuckers are stealing all his daddy's shit. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
So after a while, Johnny and the other men that were in the group, they broke down the door and called the police. The gunman actually died while resisting arrest, and everything that was stolen was returned to them. And Johnny says that he actually grieved for these men because the other two, he's pretty sure were shot down like dogs, like in the street, because it's Jamaica, it's third world.
Well, yeah.
He was like, I feel that need. And he was grateful that no one was harmed.
Could relate.
He related 100%.
And if he wouldn't have had that financial stability to be able to get that, he would have probably done the same shit.
Because at this point, they had started actually becoming like missionary type people. Because they joined up with Billy Graham and
the whole Carter
stuff.
family's down there, and it was a whole Christian thing.
Yeah, and then Johnny's family too. Like his sister Reba, she was like, "Fuck Jamaica, I'm never coming back." But they kept their house, but they just kept it guarded after that. They had guards and security. But he knew life was hard for many in Kingston, and because it was their world. But Johnny Cash did eventually end his run with drugs and continued being a voice for the downtrodden. He went from being the son of a poor cotton farmer to a military man, junkie rock star, country singer, actor, writer, activist for Native Americans.
Yeah, he was.
And to a chill grandpa until his death in September 2003, which was due to complications of diabetes.
Wow. And I remember hearing a lot when I did powwows a lot, they played Johnny Cash. I've told you this before.
Yeah.
They played that because he has that album.
And he talks about all of the stuff that he did. And it wasn't anything that he wanted to be glorified for. He wanted to be a person for their culture.
Yeah. Yeah. He was in that album that I've heard so many times over and over again.
I'm sure.
It was just, he was using it really as a platform to
talk,
to let people know. And now the way that he did that album is now it wouldn't be accepted. If you play that same album now, it would be offensive to Native Americans now. But then they were just very glad that that they were just getting there, and that he was talking about things and the Native Americans. But how he did it in the album now would not fly. So
a lot of shit. There's stuff that came out 10 years ago that wouldn't fly now.
It was cringy to me at powwows then, and I was like, "This is kind of cringy," but like people that,
But he probably did that in what, the 60s and 70s?
Yeah. It was good then. It was golden then, and they were just happy that, they were putting out some material and some information about Native Americans and giving them respect. And at that time, which it was very respectful, so, but now to do it in that same fashion, it wouldn't fly. So, but it's
what is your favorite Johnny Cash song?
My favorite Johnny Cash song, I like the one that he did with the Trent Reznor stuff, right?
Oh, Hurt.
Yeah,
that's
I
like
that
everybody's
one.
favorite. But
I love the way that
you're not a fan like
portrayed it. Like older Johnny Cash, though. I like Get Rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that, and then of course the cocaine
blues.
Cocaine
That's
Blues.
my favorite.
I like that one.
And that Cadillac song, oh my God, where he talks about building it one piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. Yes.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Cocaine Blues, like me and you both
love
light
Cocaine
up
Blues.
on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I did a TikTok to that song too because
we dig that one. It's not that we
early one morning round making my round.
Yeah,
I took a shot of cocaine and I shot my woman down. Okay, I'll stop singing.
I get it though. I get it.
Cash Estate.
I get it, but we haven't never lived any of that.
No.
We've never lived any of that. Like our biggest thing is like a little bit of a hangover.
I love the beat. I love all of it.
It's driving.
It's driving. But do you know what one is in my head, like rent free all the time? Is the one he sings about the fucking cotton farm. How high's the water, mama?
Yeah.
2 feet high and rising.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that one lives rent free. And then there's one that he does about a post-apocalyptic world. He does a song with U2.
Oh, yeah.
And U2 don't sing a fucking word. They just do the
music.
So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up my story on old Johnny Cash there. Like I said,
It was very good. I didn't know if there were going to be any murder or anything like that. But
no.
with the Jamaica thing, really, it
could have been
a big debacle right there. There was probably a whole podcast we could do just on that if we really deep dived into it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, terrorizing and fucking up shit and staying on drugs and nearly dying 500,000 times.
So many times.
And that fucking big ass turkey.
The pills alone should have killed him.
Well,
not
ostrich.
counting all the crashes, boat sinkings, equipment turnovers.
He was going ham.
Fuck. Johnny
Jesus. Was going ham. Shouldn't have made it past 40, But that's really cool.
30.
Iconic, American icon for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like really changed a lot of music. And nobody really looks at some of that stuff.
Having the live concerts in prisons was huge.
Yeah, Folsom Prison. And Merle was there whenever he was in Folsom Prison and playing. Because Merle was some dirt. There's some shit on Merle, too. But I'm not that kind of a fan like you are.
In one of Johnny's concerts for one of the presidents, I can't remember which one. I think it might have been Nixon. He shouted out, play... I don't remember what song it was. And he was like, well, I'm going to let Merle sing that since that's his song.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, I'll leave that to Merle, but here's this. Let me sing my song. Thank you.
Well, he went to the White House like 3 times.
Oh, yeah. And they were big.
With Jimmy Carter, too.
Yeah, they were big friends with Jimmy Carter because he was a member of the Carter family.
Yeah.
And, they went a lot during that. But he had went several times before that. So, yeah. But I can't remember exactly which president it was. I want to say Nixon, but
historically though, like, changing the music industry and making it develop into what, I mean, and we watched that just yesterday. Just yesterday, he's metal.
He's metal. He's not metal at all.
Just yesterday,
his lifestyle.
Me, you, and Silas was watching the evolution of music from like the 1500s. No, we watched one of them
all the way back to BC.
BC, it was
where they just took scrolls that was written down
Egyptian
and
time
made it
and
into,
everything. How they wrote music and everything.
Cool.
Evolution of music, and it takes people like him to really change things, and it keeps it rolling. And that's what I like about music.
Yeah, because nobody else had that sound.
And there was a 10-year lag where I even brought up to you, we were in this relationship together for this 10-year lag where I was like, music hasn't really changed a whole lot. But with me and you going to Rockville and watching some of these new bands and popping up, like Slaughter to Prevail and Lorna Shore.
Gajira. Gajira sings about fucking whales in nature, and it's metal as fuck.
Yeah, it's metal as fuck. But it's
and the Amazon.
It changed it enough to where I felt like we have progressed in music alone. And even some of the pop music that we're listening to now.
I want to listen to Gajira right now.
Yeah.
I love them so much.
And they even got to play at the Olympics. That was really cool. Like that.
Yes.
That was
every
phenomenal.
Single time that performance showed up on my TikTok, I watched the entire thing. I don't care if it was there again 2 scrolls later. Yeah. I watched it.
I mean, as far as like heavy music goes, we're watching it evolve, and it's becoming better and different and changing. Bollywood, bands like The Who, even Baby Metal was trendy for a long time, but now there's that new band. Who was that band that we seen at Ginger? Who was that band that we seen at Ginger that was like Baby Metal?
Oh my God, they were so good.
So good. But they were
Morambi, but they were metal.
They were Japanese, and they were like
they were metal.
But it was like
Harambe.
It was like the Baby Metal theme, but like they got down like Tatiana, and I was like, yes, finally we got both parts, both aspects.
They were so fucking cute. Like we were hyped that whole show.
Yeah, even bands like Sleep Token though, which is like metal as fuck, but at the same time.
That's like another Deftones. That's sexy metal.
But they're a crossover type band. Like that could be pop music to me too.
And they're completely different than Deftones. Yeah. But they're it can definitely be pop.
Yeah, it's sex music.
We're
gonna listen. We're gonna listen to sex music. Yeah. That's Deftones and
we have
Sleep
a whole
Token.
Sexy metal playlist. Yeah.
But music like
right
that,
there with In This Moment.
But to be able to fold it back to the Lady Gagas and all the things that we listen to, even in pop music. I'm enjoying right now, especially right now, the transition that things are coming in. I think it's going to go back to classical. I've been telling you that since I've known you, that there's going to be more classical things. And System of a Down put a little bit of that into it with metal.
Lorna Shore has operatics.
That's why I mentioned Lorna Shore.
And I love it.
I said that there's going to be more and more classical being popped back into
opera.
things. And it's going to even go back. They're going to be pulling stuff back. There needs to be another swing music.
When operatic,
about every 30 years, if you notice, there's a little bit of flavor that comes back.
Oh, swing came back hard in the late 90s. Yeah.
Big Voodoo Daddies, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Squirrel Nut Zippers, all those bands. Music
Mighty
like
Bassoons.
that, and ska. Yeah, there you're getting the ska music there, but like,
oh yeah, you're right. That is ska.
Less Than Jake, and then it's.
But I could have swung to that shit.
But I love that shit.
But yeah, with Lorna Shore, with operatic.
We got to play a ska band on here that we got to meet, and they're playing with Less Than Jake too. They're fixing to do the Wake and Bake tour or something like that. They do it every year, but they're playing in Gainesville here pretty soon, and Against All Authority is going to be playing with them. And I'm looking forward to that. We need to go to a couple of shows. I think we need to break away. I was talking about a show last night that I wanted to go to at Underbelly, and we missed it, but I think we need to break away to a show, and then we'll
need to go to a show.
We'll come
need
back.
that.
Yeah, we need to go to a show.
It's been since Ginger. No, we did go to Wage War. Wage War was after. And that was a fucking fire show. But y'all, if we go more than a month without going to a show, we have withdrawals.
We're withdrawing now.
We're withdrawing.
But we're finding some cool bands. You found a band, and I had seen them on. I'd seen them. So I was scrolling.
I was excited with it the first 10 seconds.
This was a few months ago, which we both have a lot of the similar algorithms, of course, because we like a lot of the same shit. But I was scrolling. I believe it was on TikTok. It might have been on. It might have been. It was one of the socials. I think it was TikTok. And I was scrolling a few months ago, and I seen this little dude like pop out in a wheelchair, and he went ham bone, like lifting out of the wheelchair, like pulling it because he had. It looked like he was maybe paraplegic or something, paralyzed maybe from his waist down type thing. And so he's pulling himself out of the chair.
Oh my God! Well, I found him 2 days ago,
and you found him 2 days ago. The same band, but
said,
it was
Jesse,
just like,
I want to plug this band,
and you sent it to me, and I was like, yeah, I've seen them a few months ago, and I was like. They're viral. Like these guys are viral. There's no way we can contact them. But she sent that to me, and I contacted him. So and he replied right away. I couldn't believe it. He replied right away, and I was just enamored. These guys are out
literally
of Greensboro.
within 2 minutes. I'm like, Jesse, I want to plug this band. You're like, okay. Then he hit me up right away, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited.
And I was just. It was amazing that this guy was just like.
So the band is called Low, and the singer's name is Logan.
Logan.
And he is a little person in a wheelchair, but he has a mighty mighty Logan
Abdu.
Yeah.
So really cool cat. Like, and you could tell that he's doing a lot of stuff at home. He has a mighty sound. Computer, mighty huge sound. Looks like a 3-piece band.
And we listened to them yesterday to pick out which song we were going to plug, and I was having a great time.
Yeah, I hit him up, and I was like, we do true crime podcasts, and I play bands at the end, and I wanted to feature him. So, but we want to play one of their songs, and Logan's amazing, and I hope they come to Florida, because I got you, Logan. I got you, bro. I want to hook you up.
And like I said on our Wednesday recap, in 2 years, I want to gather up all these bands and have a drink about something fest.
Yeah. We'll find a spot. We'll square off.
Fest.
We'll square off.
We'll have us a 2-day.
Hey, we'll have it at Hangar here in Lake City. I'll get with Renee and we'll just set it up. We'll have like 10 bands all day long.
They have quart jar beers, y'all.
Yeah, quart jar beers.
Mason
North
jar
Central
beers.
Florida. We're gonna have a whole
and they
festival.
Make a great
so about a year from now. About a year from now.
A great what's the drink? Oh my God, Long Island.
Long Island is Renee. If Renee's there.
Renee. Shout out to Renee.
Hangar 7, Lake City. But we're going to do it. We got to do it, you know. So I'm going to play some of their stuff. And I hope you guys like it. Check out Low. And they're on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're great.
Very phenomenal. And I don't see the song that you're talking about. But anyhow, she's going to look it up and we're going to play it. You guys did amazing. Lindsay, you did amazing. And I just want to go ahead and give you some of this whole thing here.
Thank you, sir. There it is right there. Ahead or behind.
Yeah, and we're going to play this thing. We're going to rock out and send them some feedback and send us some feedback. DrinkaboutSomething.site.
Yes.
Yeah, here goes Low. This is ahead or behind. Check it out.
They're so
They're
good.
phenomenal. Logan, you are the man. Your band is just phenomenal, dude.
Absolutely.
Check them out. And check out, all these bands that we've been playing. We just, we're so fortunate to be able to play and to be able to talk to and just hang out with some of these groups. And I can't wait for them to come back down. They need to come down to Florida. We're going to hang out with them. We're going to do a little something.
And we really hope that we're inspiring you guys to follow and check these bands out.
Heavy rock.
Even if it's not your genre, check it out. Give it a chance. You may love it.
I'm gonna lean back toward maybe I'm going to try to find something
when I was growing up, I was a country music fan. Loved me some Garth Brooks. Still love Garth
Alan
Brooks.
Jackson.
And guess what? I gave metal a chance because my sisters kind of introduced me to Metallica when I was young, but I just kept on wanting. And then the deeper I got, the more I liked it. And the more I love.
So we will see you guys next Friday.
Yes. We're going to talk about murder next Friday. Murder.
Which there was some murder in that, but it was in Jamaica. But yeah, Johnny Cash was amazing. I can't believe he made it to that age.
Yes. I said, he was meant to be here.
Which one are you talking about, though?
Okay, it's going to be the killer. His name is Tiffany Cole. Okay. And I don't have my notes in front of me, to name their victims.
So Tiffany Cole next Friday. We'll see you guys then, and you guys have a good one.
Bye.